Hey guys, this week on the Real DVD. Well, actually, before I go into that, last week I didn't do a video mainly because I recorded a really what I thought was quite a good review, and found out that the sound was like completely missing. So, and I didn't have time to re-record it, so that's why there wasn't one last week. So I really apologise for that. I was going to attempt to re-record it this week and do that review again, but it's been a week now since I saw that movie, so maybe I'll watch it again sometime and review it then. But this week I've decided instead to review Wolf Creek, which is a 2005 horror movie. It's an Australian horror film, and it's co-produced, written and directed by a guy called Greg McLean. It won quite a few awards when it came out in 2005, and it's also supposedly based on true events. The story of the movie basically revolves around a group of backpackers, two English girls and an Australian guy. I think their name, the guy's called Ben. There's also Christy and Liz, which I just read off Wikipedia, so that's how I know their names. And anyway, they're on sort of an Australian holiday. They're backpacking around Australia. They want to visit a place called Wolf Creek, and Wolf Creek is basically a big sort of crater in Australia. It's a really great looking place. The whole movie actually has some really great sort of settings and some really great shots of Australia and how sort of beautiful I guess it is and stuff. The movie, I watched this movie a long time ago, back when it first sort of came out on DVD. I guess either 2005, 2006. But this time around I watched it on Blu-ray, and it looks amazing. The scenery and stuff looks absolutely amazing on Blu-ray. It's the kind of movie that is worth buying on Blu-ray to see how good Blu-ray can be. I know it is an older film. It was shot in HD, which is perhaps why it looks so good. But it is a very good looking Blu-ray just for the scenery and stuff in it, so I recommend it just for that anyway. But back to the story. So they go and visit this place called Wolf Creek, and when they're there, mysteriously all their watches stop, and their car stops as well, and it won't start. So they end up having to stay there overnight, and that night they see a car pull up, and it's basically a big tow truck, and this guy gets out, whose name is, let's see if I can remember what his name is, Mick Taylor, who's played by a guy called John Jarratt. Now I believe John Jarratt he's an Australian actor, but I believe he normally plays nice guys. I'm not sure. I think I read a long time ago that sorry, I'm getting up on Wikipedia. John Jarratt plays Mick Taylor, who's kind of the villain of the movie, and well, first of all, he sort of says to them that he can fix their car, but he's going to need it to take it back to his sort of garage or lot or whatever it is. So they hook the car up and they take it there. Now this all takes place in sort of the first 40, sort of half hour, 40 minutes of the movie, and a lot of people really dislike the movie for this part. A lot of the people that I've spoken to about this film have been like, oh, it takes so long to get going, the beginning's so boring, and it's just like, well, no, because the whole point of the beginning of this movie is it establishes how, it gives you a better insight into the characters. It's really great because of that. It doesn't jump straight in with the whole horror aspect. It kind of gives you a feel to the characters, and I really like that. It's got a lot of character development at the beginning of this movie, and it's good. It's really good, and not only that, it does have some really great shots. It shows off some of the great scenery of Australia, and a lot of people, like I said, they don't like it, which is annoying because it is a really great way to start off the movie, and it makes the second half of the movie even more brutal because of that. Because when they get to the parking lot, they realise that things aren't going as good as they seem, and then one of the characters wakes up and she's tied up. She manages to escape, and upon doing so she discovers her friend being tortured and molested and everything by Mick Taylor. So it's kind of it's sort of similar to type of film like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Wrong Turn, that kind of horror movie, not so much a supernatural horror movie or anything like that. Although part of the supernatural thing, which I kind of found strange, one thing that's always been weird for me for this movie is the whole part where the car won't start and their watches stop. That does have this kind of weird element to it, which isn't quite explained. But yeah, it's quite interesting. But no, it is mostly about this sort of killer who is tracking them down. And it plays out how perhaps you'd imagine it, but it is really good. It does kind of do a lot of the things that you'd expect in that second half, but it's really good, and it feels kind of refreshing and new as well. It is really good. Like I said, it's not your kind of typical horror movie because it does take time to develop the characters. There's very little music used in the movie. I can't really remember there being a lot. it's one of those movies where you don't really notice that much because it is quite intense, so you do get sucked in very quickly. So it's hard to kind of pick out points where the music actually is. But yeah, it's a really great movie. I do recommend it. It's one of those horror movies that kind of will stick with you as well. It's a really good one, and I highly recommend it. Like I said, for many reasons, especially if you are going to get it, definitely pick it up on Blu-ray because it looks fantastic on Blu-ray. But that's about it. I'm sorry that again for not doing a review last week. Wolf Creek is a really good Australian horror movie, and I highly recommend you check it out. And I'll catch you guys next week. So, like I said, I did a really good one last week, and that one just didn't work. The sound was gone, so it was a waste of time. But never mind. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.